This module is about the common stock value for a fixed period with changing dividend and with constant dividend. We have talked about the valuation of common stocks, where we said that the common stock is never redeemed or it is never cancelled. So common stocks are issued for infinite period of time. It is true, but there is a possibility that a common stock is purchased by an investor for a certain period of time, after which the investor intends to sell that stock or that share. In that case, the time period becomes a fixed time period like a bond or a preferred share. Now, in this case, we can have two different scenarios, and that is that during this period, which we may call the holding period of the investment in that stock or share, the dividend remains constant. If I'm holding the stock for 10 years, let's suppose the dividend remains constant over the period of these 10 years. The other possibility is that over this holding period of 10 years, the dividend changes or it grows. So in both the conditions, we can calculate the intrinsic value of that common stock. Two things which are common in both of these assumptions is that, number one, there is a terminating ending value at the end of the holding period for which we are having this stock with us. Meaning that if we have got a 10-year holding period, the price of the stock at the end of 10th year will be the value that we will get after 10 years. So while calculating the value of a common stock for a given holding period, we have to calculate the present values of the dividends that we'll get during that holding period, and also the present value of the price at which we will be able to sell this stock at the end of the holding period. So in both of these cases, the value of a common stock for a given holding period can be calculated. Let's have a look at this example where we have got D naught equal to 8, that is the last year's dividend, and R is 10%, and we assume that the share will be held for a period of 5 years. And after the 5 years, the estimated price of that stock is rupees 120. So if the dividend is constant, this means this 8 rupees per share dividend will continue for the next 5 years. So it will become an annuity of 8 rupees each for a period of 5 years. So here we'll apply the annuity formula, and we will discount all these dividends in one go by applying the ordinary annuity formula with the amount of installment, that is the dividend, equal to 8, with the discounting rate, that is 10%, and number of years equal to 5. In this case, we get this value as 30.33 rupees. So this is the first part of the total value of this common stock, which is the present value of the dividends. The second part is the present value of the price that we will get at the end of this holding period, and this will be one single amount. So we will apply the present value formula of discounting a single amount. In this case, this is 120 divided by the discounting factor, which is 1 plus 10% raised to the power 5. And the answer we get is 74.5 rupees. So the total intrinsic value of this common stock with a holding period of 5 years is 30.33 plus 74.51, and that is 104.81. The second situation is that if the dividend is growing, so there'll be a growth rate. Suppose this growth rate is 7%, with which the dividend is growing. So for the whole period of 5 years, we'll be having different amounts of dividends. And when we'll have different amounts of dividends, as you can see in case of this example, we cannot apply the formula of annuity, क्योंकि annuity में ज़रूरी है कि amount same रहे. So in this case, we will have to individually discount all these dividends one by one and then sum up all these present values in order to get the first part of the value of this common stock. यानी इन तमाम dividends की हम individually present value निकालेंगे और उसको sum करेंगे, add करेंगे, तो हमारे पास जो value आएगी वो हमारे common stock की intrinsic value का पहला हिस्सा है, and we may call it V1. You can see that adding up all these values gives us 18.67. The second part is done in the same way. That is, we discount by applying the present value formula of a single amount and we get the present value of the future price that we will get and add those two values in order to get the intrinsic value of the stock. So, how do we conclude it? By comparing this intrinsic value with the price of that stock, which is at the moment there in the stock market. And if this price is equal to this intrinsic value, we'll consider it a good bargain. हम इस स्टॉक या शेयर को खरीद लेंगे. अगर ये प्राइस हमारी इस इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू से कम होगा तो हम इस स्टॉक को तब भी खरीद लेंगे, because having a lesser price is also profitable. The only scenario when we will not purchase this stock is if the price is greater than this intrinsic value. And this is the principle of making the decision about stocks and bonds that we have discussed in all these modules of calculation of intrinsic value.